Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Onimusha, Dawn of Dreams, hard no damage run. We're in part 2 of A Child's Revenge, and I'm doing another one of the puzzle boxes. And some of these puzzle boxes, man, are tricky. Really, really tricky. And I fucked that one up. Which, it does happen, but I'm the type of person that on these puzzles, I kind of do them, quick fire. The faster I move while I'm doing them, the better I get to the solution. If I take my time and I try and plan every move, it'll take me a year to solve them. So I just kind of do it really quick. And there's probably a mathematical solution to them. But I was always more of an English guy rather than mathematics. So my maths is incredibly weak. I can do the basic stuff, but as soon as we moved into the advanced maths, my brain just decided that it was not as good as perhaps it needed to be in that situation. But there's a lot of parts of this castle that we come back to. So for instance, that room I just ventured into then is something that you do on your second trip here. And one of the interesting parts of this game is how they reuse the assets, which I don't know if it was for budget reasons or for schedule reasons, but you do come back to a handful of areas, and I think the game does a good job of reusing those assets without it making it feel really mundane. But at the same time, it does make me wonder, how cool would it have been if it didn't have to reuse them? But this should be a key. So that's the key for the second floor. Like, a lot of the puzzles do have that almost old school eclectic vibe to them where you wonder, how the hell was this ever construed? Because it's really just arbitrary for the sake of it. But it's really nice to see the response that this project has got on the channel, because I was a little bit skeptic as to how it would be received, because I didn't know if people would have the same, nostalgia and love for the Onimusha series that I did. I didn't know if the people who had no idea what it was would find it interesting to watch. Like, I didn't even know if the people who knew the series would find it interesting to watch, because when I first was introduced to Onimusha, I was watching a friend play it, and I don't know if you've ever had that experience with a friend where you went to a friend's house, and for whatever reason, it's just kind of how the hierarchy went, where when you were at their house and it was a new game, they played it, and you kind of didn't. Sometimes you might have gone a little back and forth if you had a system set up, or maybe if they'd played quite a lot of it, they'd let you play, but if it was a new game, they played and you kind of just watched, and you didn't mind because you were almost playing vicariously through them, and it was just a different time. Like, you can't imagine telling kids nowadays that you have to, you'll sit and watch your friend play a game because everybody's so fucking, like, we're all playing at the same time, there's a million player and stuff like that. Just, different generation. But I watched my friend play Onimusha 2, Dawn of Dreams, for about a day straight, and by the end of that day, I hated that game, because it was literally the most boring thing I'd ever witnessed in my entire life. It didn't help that A, the player who I was watching was bad at the game, and B, he didn't know where he was going, so it was just a lot of being lost, a lot of not really knowing what to do, and it doesn't make for very much of a fun memory or association with that game. And what was kind of ironic is, I didn't see my friend for some time. You grow apart type deal, people move, or you go to different schools, or whatever, social situation happens. And I ended up picking up that game somewhere. It was cheap. I decided to buy it because I was into feudal Japan or something like that, or I wanted to play like a katana game, where I got to play as like a samurai and it looked cool, and I wanted to cut bamboo forests and shit. So I picked it up, and I ended up getting really good at it and really liking it. And I met that friend, post that event, and just that weird moment of saying, remember that game that I used to give you a lot of shit for and I said it was really boring? I got really into it, and it's a really good game. And I always think like that, of how I felt when I was watching him play that, because there were other things I watched that particular friend play which I didn't find boring. Like, he got Final Fantasy X, and the way I got to play Final Fantasy X was because of him. you know. I don't know if anybody had friends who, you know, were a little bit, not necessarily more fortunate than you were, but I think everybody had a friend who, you know, had a console you didn't own, or owned games you didn't have, and it was one of the pleasures of, you know, going to their house, the fact that you had something that wasn't at yours. We weren't all just, you know, materialistic and using each other. It's just that joy of when you're a kid, someone has something you don't, and you get to experience it because of them. I should probably talk about this boss. Once you get this guy's parry timing down, he's the easiest boss in the game. Because he will always do that first quick stab. If you don't get the parry on the first stab, if you block it, you have about 3 or 4 hits worth of opportunities to parry him. And the timing is something that you have to learn. You know, it's one of those gut feelings, it's one of those experience things, and once you have it, you'll be fine. And by the end of the game, you will have it, because you fight that dude like 5 times, and every single fight is the same, except for he starts to multiply himself, and he has 2 people attacking you. But here is the Genma of this level. It's a giant wasp. This is one of the better bosses, believe it or not, because it's really fair. It moves its head when it's about to attack. If you get away from it, you will not take any damage. Its attacks will actually hurt the enemies that it summons to fight you. And my strategy here is simple. I have the enemies attack my friend, and if they come close to me, I will do magic to Isen criticals. And then I just focus on the boss, hitting her with helm splitters. And whenever she moves, or signposts that she's about to do an attack, I run to the back left corner where you've seen me go to, and it makes this an incredibly simple fight with really good music. But I need to be careful here, because boom, that breath attack is an AoE, so as long as you're holding block, you should be fine. If you're not holding block and you don't know what that move is, it will hurt you every time. That is a poison breath, it means you can't go near it, but look at our weapon. It fires that awesome after effect that does damage, and look at the damage it does. You know, this is a serious weapon. And I think I've got it fully upgraded as well, because you'll notice I was saving my red orbs for when I got a good weapon, and this is my idea of a good weapon, because I know from my first playthrough that I was going to use it a lot. And there she moved, so I need to get away just in case, because that right there, it will break your guard, and then the receding hit will hurt you, so you want to be careful. But there it is, folks, that is the end of the level, that is the death of the boss. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this little throwback playthrough, and as always, you take care now.